Local singer and songwriter Stefanie Potter is out with her latest EP entitled Plasticity. I talk one-on-one with Stefanie about her latest EP for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Stefanie Potter, welcome to the award-winning Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. I know that obviously you're a local singer and songwriter that obviously released your newest EP, which was obviously on October 23rd. And I'm wondering, as we sit here right now, Stefanie, what is the biggest difference between October 23rd and right now when you think of this latest new EP?
I'm just so thrilled that it's finally released and it's out there for people to hear and enjoy and reflect on. It took me a year and a half, basically since 2020 shut down, to create it from home. And Plasticity is something that I really feel like only could have been released through the 2020 to 2021 season and difficulties that we all went through, as it speaks to our ability to adjust and for our brains to find new connections and to really find healing through that process.
What ability do you have now that has allowed you to adjust musically?
Yeah, so this is the first time I have recorded from home completely by myself in my music room. The last one I had released, Eden's Embrace, right before the shutdown, I had done at a local studio, and I had watched his creation of that music and or the editing process and all that. So I kind of had an idea of what to learn, and I have some background in running live sound, and so I knew it wouldn't be that big of a stretch to, take the time, now that I had the time, to actually sit down and learn that. So it was a really neat process. I really enjoyed being able to take the songs from, in my head, I would just be like going about my day, doing chores or something else. And then I'd hear a new piece of the song, and then I could go right to my computer and create that, whether on my MIDI keyboard or one of my guitars. I could bring it immediately to the music.
Wow, that's just amazing, Stefanie. What else have you been able to reflect on musically during this whole, as many people say, the pandemic?
Yeah, it's definitely can bring some healing, I think. So one of my songs on there, Love Takeover, talks of just coming to this place of surrender, of realizing like, wow, there's nothing we can say or do to make certain things better. All we can do is surrender to love and just hope and pray, thy kingdom come, thy will be done. That love will take over and rule in certain situations where we can't do anything else to make it better.
How has love ruled over your music?
Yeah. Honestly, this is the way that I interact with the world the best. The way that I process and take things in, and then I find myself wanting to say certain things, but probably deeper than the average conversation goes. And so this is the way that I feel like I share my love for people, is by expressing those deeper thoughts, and hopefully, some of the things that I sing over myself with the lyrics that I write that are healing to me. I figure like they're doing no good just sitting in my head, they're good for me, but ultimately the act of love is releasing them out for other people to listen to and to maybe find some healing, some joy, some hope, some compassion in those places.
Okay. Which one of those lyrics have actually healed you as a person?
Oh, oh, all of them. but I'll talk about the last one on Plasticity is Just Be. So that one I actually started writing right at the beginning of the pandemic. I started feeling very anxious, just this place of like, okay, I just released this Eden's Embrace CD and I'm not gigging right now like I had planned on because of the pandemic and various other circumstances. And I had just started like, honestly, like talking to God, like, what do I do right now? And what I heard was just be. And
Wow.
I definitely, I found some healing in that. And I thought back to like the story of God saying, oh, my name is I am. So if God is I am, then I can just be. And that I found a lot of healing in just being present and living the rhythms of life that everybody have gone through from in one form or another, all of creation throughout time, just kind of being in that process. So that was healing for me.
For you, what are those rhythms when it comes to the music world?
Say again?
What are those rhythms when it comes to the music world that you're still, adjusting to?
The rhythms, yeah. Sometimes we release, and sometimes we sit back and wait and receive, right? So, as far as like my next steps is to live these lyrics, like I have been trying to as I've created the songs, and just receive and see what else may come out in future lyrics. And whether I get back out there and start gigging again, remains to be seen. But I feel good about having put this out to the world.
Now that you have put that out to the world, who is Stefanie Potter as a person and a musician?
Who am I? I am a loved child of the Creator. I'm creative. I think we were all made to be creative in one way or another. But obviously, I express my creativity through music most often.
Yes, indeed.
And just passion, I think, for particularly for oppressed people groups and just people who maybe are downtrodden from powers of the world and or just life circumstances. I like to be, a listening ear.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. And speaking of listening, I went back on your Twitter page just yesterday and you talk about obviously Not Alone, one of those songs. You said, I began writing this song as a promise to my loved ones that I would walk through the tough stuff with them as I held to the promise that God would walk with me. Stephanie, let me ask you, what's the tough stuff that you've been able to walk with God and your loved ones on?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so originally I started writing that song when my sister had started going through the process of pursuing adoption, and that's a long, drawn-out journey with some unique challenges. So there was that, and then my mom lost her beloved husband not soon, actually right around the time that her first grandchild came home to my sister. So a little bit of a light in the dark time there. So just walking through that and various deaths in the family and the pandemic, walking through with my sister, trying to be more careful than a lot of people, just for various concerns. So, just those moments of like, okay, this is the way that I can love the people around me. I may not be able to change the whole world, but I can make a difference here.
Absolutely. And let me just talk to you about the obvious plasticity that is. Plasticity. This is a song, as you said on Twitter, obviously surrounding your friends, surrendering your friends, that is, to God amidst sad goodbyes, and looking at what you have missed out on if things have stayed the same. You say we had a sweet song together, but a new song is coming. What else have you surrendered to God, Stefanie?
Yeah. All of life. Yeah, so the second song on Plasticity is called New Song. And that was just a reflection of, honestly, it kept like, I would get close to someone and then, oh, they'd like move away, or we'd move away, or something would happen, and where there's a disconnect of being present in each other's lives consistently. And I feel like the pandemic brought on some of that as well. So yeah, it's just a moment of like, okay, I love the time that we had together, and we celebrate that. We had a great like song together, but God has a new song for them and a new song for me, kind of separate. But then knowing like, okay, if our parts join together at any, even just for a moment in time in the future, like we're open to that, and kind of picturing it like a grand symphony. Where we all have this song that we're playing, that we're living out, kind of like life is music, yes, kind of idea. And there's this big heartbeat, kind of like this rhythm, a heartbeat of God, that we can surrender and just walk in step with, and surrender our plans to.
Yes, absolutely. You're right about that. Let me ask you, what do you think you have missed out on from God with those relationships that you ultimately had to surrender to God?
Yes, I feel like it's kind of like if things had stayed the same, if we hadn't moved at the certain point that we did, we would have missed out on so many plans that God had for us here. And same thing for like my friends that have moved away. You know, they would have missed out on certain things that God had for them in other places.
Wow, that's just amazing. And you said this too, and to take us back to philosophy class in this exploratory experimental song, this song explores the beauty of "and," a simple word that allows us to hold seemingly opposing truths and tensions. So let me ask you, who is Stefanie Potter in philosophy class?
Yeah, so I have a background in, I have my master's degree in social work, and then I have an undergrad degree in religion and philosophy, with an emphasis on ministry. So all of that like background definitely influences my lyrics and how I approach music and how I approach life. Is like everything is sacred. There's no split. And then the idea of "and," so I feel like there's just this big polarization out there, like that's so common. So dualism was a word that I heard in philosophy class, where it's like, oh, you're either this or you're this. And I feel like life is a lot more messy than that, and but like in a beautiful mess kind of way. Like, okay, I think there's some truth here, which is why people believe it, and there's some truth over here, which is why people believe it. Right. And so can we meet in the middle, this place of and find those common grounds and commonalities, and just, you know, not be afraid of joining those views together.
And I was thinking about this last night too, Stefanie, but what is that simple word that has allowed you to hold opposing truths in tension?
Yeah. Grace. I would say grace is and Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound.
Yes.
Yeah, that place of it doesn't have to be either or. Like there's room for both, for finding the truth.
Sure.
Not to say that the truth is in the middle, but making room for respectful dialogue and understanding that we can merge in unity by listening to the other side, by saying, "Oh, okay, that's a valid point."
And you also said this too. Amidst pains of polarized regularity, the artist pursues our innate ability to adapt, reconnect, and heal. What is your innate ability to adapt, reconnect, and actually heal personally?
Yeah. So plasticity is both a pottery term, which is fun because my last name is Potter, and it's a brain psychology term, which speaks to our brain's innate ability to reconnect after trauma or any kind of hardship, to find new pathways to connect and find healing, which I feel like is just this really cool symbol for life as a whole, and especially what we all just walked through. And so plasticity for me is honestly just being open to, okay, yes, things have been this way and I have been this way, but that doesn't mean that I need to always be that way. I can learn new things. I can find new pathways. I can connect with new people from different backgrounds, and I can form just new connections in life to find some level of healing for me. And that doesn't downplay the tragedies of life, because there's some definite things that I've walked through, and I know that everybody out there has walked through some definite tragedies. And so I don't think any of that negates it, but it just helps us find a way to keep moving forward.
Yes, indeed. Who have you been able to connect with musically in the music industry?
Well, I've been doing this since, well, I guess I've been writing like forever, but I started a band back in 2002, and then went solo in when I moved away from home. But there's been some really cool interactions with various people out there. So Shonda Pierce, I was able to open for one of her concerts when she came to Charleston a few years back. I think it was like 5 or 6 years ago. So that was pretty neat. And then there was Paul Coleman, has heard me play just at this festival, and none of those things are like life changing as a musician. Like I still just make music and I release it. Like that's just part of like who God made me to be, and it's really cool encouragement. They were very encouraging to me, and there's been a few other instances where there's been like, okay, this is neat. Like I've been able to have this experience. Got to play the bridge run a few years when nobody knew who I was. So that was really cool. It was just like moments of like, yes, I have made you this way, and you just keep doing it. Like no matter who's listening or not listening, like keep releasing it so that it's out there for when people need to hear it, and just like trust that God will bring them to it.
Yes.
If they need to hear something that I said.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And, I'm an alum of the Cooper River Bridge Runs, and I'll be back for my probably 20th year next year in 2022. But let me ask you, you said this too. Obviously, you express raw human emotion through a mix of folk rock and orchestral sounds, reflecting the bonding strength of sensitive flexibility. Why folk rock and orchestral styles?
I just love it.
Mm.
Yeah, for some reason, I've just always connected with those types of sounds, folk music and rock. Like, there's something about an electric guitar with a lot of distortion, whether someone else is playing it or I'm playing it,
Yes.
especially when I'm playing it, it's just like very empowering and cathartic sometimes, like in some moments, to just feel like the power and strength. And then, I mean, you think about the orchestra, like that
Yes.
seems like a different musical world,
Right.
but again, like the idea of bringing everything together in unity, and I feel like it just makes things more powerfully expressed, and add some beauty to unite those things. And I mean, the beauty of strings and just all these unique instruments out there. It was fun to explore those different sounds and bring those to the music.
Oh, absolutely. How strong is that bonding strength right now in your mind?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, part of what I mean is with the sensitive flexibility. Okay, so people tend to think like sensitivity might be bad. As a sensitive person growing up, I've been told multiple times, like, "Oh, you're too sensitive," and that may be true sometimes. But I feel like my sensitivity has allowed for that level of flexibility to see how things can join together like that. Of like, yes, it's always been defined this way or this way, but maybe I can kind of put them together in a unique way, which actually makes things stronger because of the differences symbolically here in sound. That's how I express it in my music, is bringing those things together. But I feel like that music, it's not just about the lyrics, but the music speaks to how, when we are flexible and bring those seemingly opposing things together, the reality of life, that does add some bonding strength to a situation.
Absolutely. Plus, Plasticity and obviously Eden's Embrace. Which one describes you as an artist the best?
Well, I guess it depends on the season I'm in, right? I feel like Eden's Embrace described me perfectly leading up to 2020. Plasticity describes me now.
Wow.
That doesn't mean I don't find myself still in Eden's Embrace, which I definitely do. But yeah, I mean, just the journey of life, I think, takes that level of who you are to different paths.
Yes, indeed. What musical journey do you want to go down next as an artist and songwriter?
So this one I really express, especially like Love Takeover, like really express some like some angst there for like the pains of life.
Right.
And so I thought about maybe going down more of the softer folk route again, but we'll see what comes out. I mean, I love like 3 or 4 part harmonies and just that folk, like, relaxed style. And so I'm thinking about exploring more of that. And as far as lyrical content, I'm just open to receiving like whatever is next to be said. And just gonna explore and see what comes out, depending on what I'm receiving.
Oh, that's just amazing. Well, singer and songwriter Stefanie Potter, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome to the award-winning Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation, and thank you for listening and sharing this.
Oh, you're very welcome anytime.